Daniel, he hit me with that hand. I remember the late, great Robert Follis going, hey, you're going to be okay. Hey, hang on. I remember trying to, like, piece together what happened. And Dan looks at me while I'm still on the ground and goes, I didn't even hit you that hard. What's happening, guys? Welcome to Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Chael. This is Daniel, a partner. I got to start off with one simple question. Did you get your car back?
Oh my goodness, they found it. They found my car, bro, in Hayward. And you know what's crazy about the whole thing? Chael.
Where is Hayward? I'm sorry, I don't know where Hayward is. Where's Hayward, California?
Like Oakland. Yeah, it's right by Oakland. You know where Oaktown is.
Yeah,
you know it gets a little tricky out in Oakland. Yes, it's a town right next to Oakland. Chael, you would have thought that with that much heat on the vehicle, that's what they call it, heat, whenever something's like a hot car, hot. You ever had a friend that tried to go, hey, man, I got these Jordans I want to sell you or something. You're like, those are hot. I don't want those. You stole those. You would think it's on the news. You find out it's mine. Get rid of the car. Somebody was driving it as if it was their own, Chael. It was just their vehicle. They had taken off the VIN number and changed it. They took it to the DMV and got license tags, Chael. How do you do that? How do you take it?
That's a thing. I've actually heard of this, that if you can get, you got to know where all the VIN numbers are. There's not just the one on the dash, there's one on the door. But if you know how to switch those out, it can be complicated. But you had like a GPS or something, wasn't it? I thought it was on like a boat.
It looked like it was on a boat, but they said that a lot of times when they're driving out in that area, it pings in the water. So I thought it was gone. But I mean, they found the car. The San Jose PD, bro, they're really, really good. They're really, really good.
You know, Daniel, by the way, when it's time to start this show, we have to start the show. There's a whole control room and
I know. But sometimes we got to catch up.
But it turns out that we started the show right after I had a French fry. And it turns out it's a little bit stuck in. So I'm trying to get it out, but it might be best to just tell you, all right.
Okay.
Can I bring something up to you?
Go ahead.
Bring something up because you're in Nashville? Derrick Lewis, who's on the card, who everybody loves. By the way, people love the Beast. Myself included. Not for nothing, myself included. At the presser, didn't even talk about his opponent Saturday. He called out Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
And he went as far as to say it's a style issue. I'm changing his words a little bit, but he was talking about it's a style issue. I'll stand and I'll trade with him. And Daniel, as soon as he said it, I got to tell you, I realized that fight isn't happening. I realized no matter how great Derrick looks, he's not going to a title fight. I'm just sharing with you. It resonated in some degree, and we don't really know what's going on with the heavyweight division. Tom's got something. You and I are starting a rumor about surreal. Jon Jones is back in the testing pool. I'm just sharing. That's what the Beast said. Did you happen to hear it?
So yes, I heard about Derrick Lewis, and he said a lot about that. It's like, hey, when my grandmother used to babysit me as a kid, there were these morning soap operas, As the World Turns, The Young and the Restless, and all those. The Days of Our Lives. They all played. And that's the heavyweight division. We're going to get to that, though. Chill. We have to, you're right, that control room, guess what? There's even a button that knocks just on my side that tells me to get on topic at this point. And I guess the first topic is retirements because of the big fights that are happening in the next couple weeks in the retirements. But I do want to talk about the Beast. So we should discuss Derrick Lewis and what he said later in the show. But retirements, Chael, we are kind of getting into an area where we're running through an era. Some of the greatest fighters from the previous era are hanging up their boots, as they would say in wrestling, or putting the gloves down. Dustin Poirier is retiring. He gets to do it on his own terms. How many guys or women do you feel deserve to do it on their own terms? We know that Dustin is doing it, and he rightfully deserves so. This guy's saying, I'm going to be done with the game before the game is done with me. That's a hard thing to do, CLP. As two dudes that fought, probably when we shouldn't have been fighting anymore. It's hard to let go of it, though, isn't it? And Dustin Poirier is letting go of it.
It's a death. I mean, even if it's the death of a career, it's still a death. It's a very confusing thing, particularly when you cling to that or that's your identity or other people know you. Whatever it might be, it's very hard. That spot of going out on your own terms was reserved for two people at one point, Lennox Lewis and George St. Pierre. And I'm just sharing that with you, Mayweather's kind of done it, and that list probably needs amended a little bit. But it's never a great idea to bank on a guy that's knowing he's going out there for the last time for whatever reason. I just mean historically. If you were to kind of total those up, it just doesn't generally go well. I got to put Dustin in a unique category though. Like Dustin doesn't want to be done. Dustin doesn't have to be done. Dustin, as a matter of fact, said, I'm going to do 2 more fights, at which point he got confronted by Dana and Hunter Campbell that said, listen, make it one last fight. We'll put the belt up. We'll bring Max, and we'll even do it in Louisiana.
In New Orleans,
so I just tell you, like, Dustin doesn't have to go, and it is a little bit of a different circumstance. I feel inside.
You know, for Dustin Poirier, I believe that he's getting that red carpet treatment by getting the fight in New Orleans. And honestly, he wasn't supposed to be here. And that's what's so impressive about Poirier in his entire career. When he came here, he fought a guy named Josh Grisby. Josh Grisby was supposed to be the hot young prospect. Dustin did away with him. And then he continued to get better and better and better. There were moments over the course of his career where it wasn't good, but he kept grinding away and eventually became one of the best fighters in the world, a guy that held an interim championship, won the BMF title. He's done some amazing things. Unfortunately, not many people can do what Dustin is doing. Michael Jordan came back. Michael Jordan came back when he had the most perfect retirement of all time after he hit that winner over Byron Russell to win another NBA championship, second three-peat. It was fairy tale for the greatest player of all time. He came back and played for the Wizards. Dustin saying, I'm done with it. It's hard to walk away from something, especially for a guy like DP, who before fighting was a kid that got into a whole bunch of trouble in Louisiana, really had not many prospects for the big life that he has created for himself. But he's saying enough is enough. But that leads me to this question. Why can't more people do that? Why are more people not willing to walk away before this game spits you out? Because eventually it's going to spit you out.
I know the answer because I'm one of those stats. I lived through it.
Me too.
The lifestyle is very seductive. I mean, I will tell you the least enjoyable part of fighting is the fight, but the lifestyle is great. I mean, you work out in the morning, you see the team, there's a little socializing.
Friend. Yep.
Yeah, you go home and you kind of feel like you've earned a little bit of rest, whether you have or not. You go back in the afternoon and you come back in the evening. It's the same thing. You're exhausted. You feel like you kind of put in a full day, and it's a very tough thing to walk away from. Not to mention, I mean, don't forget there's a narcissistic side to anybody that chooses to go into individual sport as opposed to team sport. And part of a narcissist supply, it's not just the commodity of money. You're also traded in the commodity of attention. You're traded in the commodity of what does my Twitter handle say today? And then you've also got hope. You're clinging to hope that at the right moment, at the right time, you can bring out the right version of yourself. And when you're in the practice room, you sometimes see those glimpses. You sometimes are doing so well. You go, man, if that can just be the guy that shows up at this specific day and time. It's a lie. It's a myth. But we lie to ourselves, and those are some of the things involved. And don't forget the money. It's a profession.
And as you're done, right? You and I have created great careers outside of fighting. I don't see the checks I saw when I was fighting. Not at one time. You might build over the course of a year to a massive number, a great number, but you ain't walking out of an arena on a Saturday night with a high 7-figure check. It just does not happen anymore. So that money, that lifestyle, it really does drag you in. One of the great champions that we've had in a long time said just recently, he goes, my family wanted me to retire. It's Alexander Volkanovski. Yeah. He said, but I fight for money. I've always fought for money. I wanted to be able to take care of my family. It's never been about legacy. How dangerous is that, though? Especially for a guy like Volk, who after that fight, Chael, could have had that fairy tale ending. Because if Volkanovski leaves as the champion again, it doesn't get any better. He just beat a young, dangerous Diego Lopez, won the belt again. He could walk away and be in the clear. But He says, I still got money to make. I still got to take care of my family. Honorable. But as what happened with Ilia, where Volk was just a man, eventually somebody's coming that's going to really become a problem for you. Volk said it's about the cash, though, and he's got cash to make, so he's still fighting.
I have to know everything, Daniel. I have to know everybody's business. I have to know what you made. I have to know what Volk's made. But I'm actually standing around and thought about that because Volk was in on participation, but a large part of his career was his co-main event. And I've just always been curious, like here's a guy, he's got one wife, he doesn't have a gambling problem, he doesn't have a drug problem. He should have a whole bunch of money, and I think that he does. But you do have to ask yourself at some point, are you fighting for money or are you fighting for legacy? And it's a very different thing. And generally when a guy is done, and we all go out the same way, which is flat on your back, staring at the lights. I mean, that's how everybody goes out that isn't Lennox or George. Okay.
You do the job.
You do the job. You put the other guy over. Yep.
If you put the young guy over, it is what it is. Like, that's just the nature of the beast.
And that's the real question is you have to ask yourself, I'm going to get to that point for sure. But is it worth it? Would I rather squeeze all the juice out? And different guys have different answers. I mean, here we are talking about Volk and the decision that he made to stay in it. But 1 week ago, we're complaining that Jon Jones pulled out. So, I mean, like as fans, like our hypocrisy really knows no bounds. I respect what Volk was saying. And frankly, Volk statistically should not have been able to come back and capture the championship. And when he did, I thought everything should be on the table. Everything, including possibly walking away. But that's not his mindset. And he's a champion. And I think it's one of the things that makes him special. But there is a way that this story, you said something earlier, and I'll just paraphrase it, but you were never done with this business. One day you will wake up to find out this business is done with you.
Done with you, yep. It's done with you. All of us, chill. Boot to BTA, boots to ass. Show you the door.
Hey, do you remember where you were? Do you remember where you were when you realized I won't do this forever?
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I was at my house. I woke up one morning and I was like, man, my back. When I got done with that fight in November and I went home and started training with Kane and I kicked him, and I didn't kick him hard, but when I kicked him, that sharp pain went down my leg and up my back where I was almost paralyzed. I was like, it's over. Like I knew it was kind of over. But again, sadly, when you want to walk away is generally when you're doing better than you've ever done, right? To show up at that arena, it's not what you made before. You could have defended that belt multiple times, but the moment you step in the door as the heavyweight champ, the money's doubled. Yeah. It's like, got to keep going. I got to keep going. So yeah, I knew it was over, but ultimately you got to keep fighting. And I think a lot of guys do that, right? And they set themselves up for what life looks like after. But like you said, we all end up the same way. You do the job. Hulk Hogan did the job for the Ultimate Warrior. If Hulk Hogan does the job, everybody does the job, except Jon Jones, George St. Pierre, Lennox Lewis, Floyd Mayweather, and Khabib. Those guys are very rare guys that got out clean.
And we all question them. By the way, whether it was Khabib or it was St. Pierre or it was Jones 13 days ago, we did question them. But then as time went on, their answer was kind of like a fine wine. Like when we discussed the greatest ever, we discussed Khabib and we discussed George St. Pierre. And if John's done, then right, he'll be part of that discussion. So it's an interesting thing. A fan is very fickle. And there's a real strength that you have to show to make it a decision on your own like that and stand up to everybody and call the UFC and give them, news that they don't want. It's a tough thing. It really is.
Stick with it. And to stick with it.
Sure.
I mean, Jones lasted 8 days. But Chael, so there were a lot of recent retirements. A lot of them. Jones, Dominick Cruz, Anthony Smith, Jose Aldo, Robbie Lawler, Matt Brown. Okay. I love this list. And I love all of these guys on this list. But there are a couple dudes in there. I mean, you can't say Jon Jones, Dominick Cruz, Jose Aldo, Robbie Lawler, and then Amanda Nunes didn't have Matt Brown and Anthony in there. I'm not being disrespectful, Chael, but they can't really be in that list. These guys are like the greatest fighters of all time. But I get the idea. There are a lot of retirements this year. Is it the end of an era? The era that brought so many new fans into mixed martial arts and allowed for the UFC to be the UFC that it is today, that is global?
Are you taking my job? Are you becoming the bad guy? Did I just see a brief heel?
I kind of went heel a little bit.
Towards
I went heel on Anthony and Matt Brown.
Yeah,
I
Anthony
love
and
him,
Matt
but
Brown.
come on.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it's hard for me when guys retire. I remember when you retired. I remember the day you retired Melvin. Like,
yeah,
it's hard. That changing of the guard is just a tough thing. I close my eyes and see visions of when Stipe took the shot to the stomach and he's falling backwards and it's the
oh my God
of an era. Yeah, when Fedor says he's done, like, whatever it might be. I still enjoy Don Fry and Dan Sepp. I remember Tank Abbott's last fight. I mean, it's a tough thing when guys do that, but it is a very tough thing to second guess. You know, Dana's had to speak on this, and Dana used to have to push both ways. Hey, stay in it, you got more. Hey, get out, you're done. And now Dana's got a stance, and I think he's found the right answer, which is if somebody is thinking about retiring,
do
they
it.
Probably should. And it's a simple line by Dana, but God darn it, there's just so much truth to it. I mean, I've been following the sport as a fan since 1993. I really think that that's probably the perfect way to look at it. If a guy thinks he should retire, he probably should.
The one guy I feel like Dana made walk away that just didn't want to is Chuck.
Yep.
It just felt like Chuck, for everything in his body, just did not want to go. But I think Dana cared about him so much that he was like, I can't let you do this no more. And that's why they still roll Chuck out there, right? To let him get his love, put him on the camera. Mm-hmm. Like, because they know that for Chuck Liddell, when you go to that level of superstar, because you remember how big of a star Chuck was back in the day? When you go to that level, you know that something's going to be missing when that's gone. How about this? A lot of promotions have gone. Pride, Strikeforce, absolved. WEC, absolved. But there were a lot of fighters that were still competing, right? We kept seeing the names. 2 left, Chael. 2 left only from WEC. Ronnie Yaya and Cub Swanson. Only 2 active fighters left. So when I say it's an end of an era, it's not only end of an era, it's an end of the promotion itself. I mean, I can't imagine there's many guys left or girls left that were fighting in Strikeforce that are still competing now. It's like we are really moving on to a whole new world and mix. I mean, look at Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, when we were all like fighting in WC Strikeforce, this dude was like an 11-year-old kid just learning to wrestle and do everything. And we all recognized that there was a group of children that were saying, I'm going to be a MMA world champion. And not just wrestling, not just doing jiu-jitsu, not just boxing, did all MMA. And Ilia Topuria is one of those guys, and now he's a world champion. It's crazy.
Hey, Daniel, you speak of Ilia Topuria. He just came out and said something very interesting, which is prior to getting the title fight against Charles, prior to doing that, the UFC made him make a commitment. We'll make a commitment to you to give you a title shot, but you give one to us. You don't go to 170.
Yep.
You come out of 45, you leave that belt behind, we'll figure it out. But you got to stay at 55. And I'm just wondering what you think about that, because the UFC is only as good as the information that they have. I don't think anybody, including the UFC, knew how damn good Ilia was and how powerful he was. He could protect himself at all times, even at 170. It's an interesting topic, and I've never heard of it before.
So I think that compliment, that statement is a compliment to Ilia Topuria. It really tells him how dangerous he is. He's a bit scary because now you have a guy that could potentially do all those things that people have spoken about for so long. You and I have now for, 2 years, tried to think of a guy that can be a 3-division champion. And Alex Pereira was like, oh my God, this guy might be able to do it. So then we start throwing it into the universe. The UFC recognized Ilia coming, going, hey man, this dude could potentially be a real issue because he is that good. We got to make sure that if he goes up, he makes a commitment to us to stabilize here for a second. So in Europe, like soccer, right? Soccer over in Europe, they have they go up and they go down, Chael, per year. If you're not one of the better teams, you get relegated down to a division below. So some teams, when they go up, they go stabilize here, we're fine. It makes the weight class, in this sense, talking lightweight, where you look and you know the champ. There's nothing better, Chael, than having the champion in a weight class for a long time, because that division then is represented and you recognize the vision for the guy. Like when Jon Jones was there, you knew he was the world champ at 205. When I was there, you knew I was a world champ. You need that guy. And they're like, man, we don't need Ilia continuing to jump weight classes because while it's great for him, it may not be the best thing for our brand. So give us a chance. Stabilize here for a little bit. Then we'll approach and deal with you going up if that's something you want to do down the line.
Yeah, well, and Ilia's actually gets a little bit more confusing because it's very hard to just deny the Ilia Islam beef. And at some point, is Islam going to come down and he's going to go for champ status, or Ilia is going to go up and go for champ status? And I got to tell you that because a number of our media keep getting that wrong. Ilia is not a champ. He is not a double champ. He is a two-time champion. There's a difference. And with the guys, it matters. There's certain titles that they want. Which one's going to have it? I mean, don't forget, when Islam has to go out and he's got to fight Volk, either way, Volk wakes up the next morning. No matter what happens, he wakes up the champion of the world. And the same thing wasn't said for Islam. It was kind of a tough ask of Islam to do, let alone to do twice. And I was just sharing with you, if that fight comes to fruition, one of them is going to have to move weights. And it's not as simple as you want, where they're going to look at it and go, oh, it's a disadvantage for me, or it's an advantage. They're not always like that, man. Some guys are greedy. They want it all, and they want all the hardware, and they're willing to give a few pounds for an opportunity to add something to their resume. So it's something to keep in mind. I could see a very real scenario everywhere I turn. The UFC is comparing Ilia Topuria to Conor McGregor. Everywhere I turn, except with this. I mean, let me remind you, Conor McGregor, 3 separate times, fought at 170. If it's good enough for him, it's something to be considered, partner.
Yes. And I think honestly that might be where the Ilia Topuria Islam thing is, because there are a lot of comparisons to Conor, but Ilia's not as like out there as Conor was. He's very sure of himself, and he does say things that can be interpreted as, oh, this guy's coming at me. But I don't feel like he's as out there as Conor was. But hopefully somehow those guys come together. Charles Olivero, who just got knocked out by Ilia, has fought. Listen to this list, Chael. Arman, Dustin, Islam, Justin, Ferguson, Holloway, Felder, Frankie Edgar, Cowboy Cerrone. He's fought them all. Yep. He said, hands down, no one punches like Ilia Topuria. And that is a guy coming up in weight classes. We did this thing a few years ago with Justin, Dustin, Charles, and we were like, and Chandler, who hits the hardest? And people kept going, Charles. But Charles is now saying, this guy hands down. Like, what does that mean to hear that coming from DuBronx?
It's actually a very big deal, like the psychology behind it. You won't find very many guys that get beat that will then give a compliment. They generally want a rematch. They will use all their time trying to get back or talk about my strategy, or they'll make up some excuse, or they'll claim that they were hurt. I mean, like, this is the way that this game is played. For a guy to stand back and simply talk about, it's a rare thing. And Dan, I got to tell you, to go back to Jon Jones, when I fought Jon, me and Clayton and the rest of the team, like, there was never to this day a discussion about working back to him. It was more of a stance of,
okay,
we understand.
You got it.
Young man, go enjoy your reign. We'll be over here in the corner. But yeah, but I'm just sharing, like, those words aren't easy to say.
No,
whether you win the fight or you don't, you still got an ego. And I thought it was a tremendous compliment that DuBronx said it. As a matter of fact, I appreciate you bringing it up, because it had to do with my commentary I gave just before that about maybe Ilia going to 170. You know, when the word starts getting out, you start getting a reputation, and you turn out to have this Mike Tyson-like power in that whatever you hit, you can destroy. I think it adds and lends to the idea that perhaps Ilia could be a welterweight.
Well, I think that he has power to fight just about anybody. I think where we start to run into problems at welterweight is they're just so big. They're like, he looked thick and strong in the octagon, but he was noticeably smaller than Charles Olivero in terms of like his height and everything. Like,
hey, what about how much smaller he was than Patty the Batty?
Yeah, Patty was huge.
Towered over him.
Yeah, so if there's any worry, it would be that, you know, like, because Islam is big at 170. He's like tall, and have you seen him lately? He looks huge. Like, his body's filling out. But Jack Della Maddalena is humongous. And if you ever stood next to Bilal Muhammad, to see him through the middle, his chest, his back, these guys are, Leon Edwards is 6'2". I mean, those guys are big guys when you start getting to 170 pounds. But I think it's amazing to hear that from a guy. And it made me think, who was the hardest puncher that I had been in there with? I think you and I could agree with one, though. One guy that hit harder than just about anyone. Dan Henderson. Dan Henderson never got to hit me. He never really got to hit me. Outside of him being on his back and hitting me, or in the clinch, like hitting me a couple times, I could not believe how much impact he was making from such a short distance. I was like, what is this dude made out of? Like, you used to spar with him. That's crazy.
He used to throw that hand in practice, and then he would argue that because he had the big glove on, it was okay. I've never been knocked down in a fight. I've never even been knocked down. Daniel, he hit me with that hand. I remember the late, great Robert Follis going, hey, you're going to be okay. Hey, hang on. I remember trying to like piece together what happened. And Dan looks at me while I'm still on the ground and goes, I didn't even hit you that hard. And I remember I couldn't respond, like I was still trying to kind of figure out. Sorry to use that word. I'm just giving you a quote. Hey, by the way, I would never imply that you insure the vehicle and then have a buddy steal it to scrap it out for parts. I wouldn't imply that. But if you did, you'd probably send it to Oakland, wouldn't you?
Chael, listen to this.
Hayward.
Here's what's funny, Chael. Here's what's funny. My insurance company is making me do fingerprints, everything. Yes. They're not like, they don't believe that, hey, are you going to give DNA? Sure. Can I have your sales receipt? Sure. Can I have when your insurance is put on this thing? Sure. Can I have the text messages to anyone that you talk to about the car getting stolen? Sure. Guys, I did not steal my own car. It's crazy. It really is kind of bad. It's kind of bad that they make you feel like that when I'm the victim. Right. I'm the victim.
I had a car stolen, and it was a very strange thing. It was stolen out of my driveway. And Daniel, I came back in the house and sat down, and I got a drive. It's this little tiny driveway. I walked back out and looked for it again. I came back inside. I walked back out and looked for it again. My garage was a workout room. It was full of wrestling mats and a heavy bag. I've never parked a car in my garage ever. I don't even have a lawnmower in my garage. I went and looked in the garage for the car. Like I couldn't process what was happening.
It's a horrible feeling.
And then they sent a dude to the house. He sits down with me and he does this whole thing. And I thought, my God, you think I stole the car? This is highly uncomfortable. No, I've been in your spot. You've even got a video of when I pull it out of the garage, or when your friend pulled it out of the garage.
My car.
When the guy pulled it out of the garage.
I also have to send my travel from Vegas, San Jose to Vegas, Vegas back to San Jose. It's the wildest thing ever, but it really does make you feel uncomfortable. Rumble Johnson hit very hard also. Derrick Lewis, who, by the way, we're going to talk about next, like you want to talk about, he hit hard. Chael, I had his leg up, holding a single leg, and he hammer-fisted me, and it kind of just rolled down my face. I had a black eye like I had been in a 5-round war fighting Derrick Lewis. The way that this man hits, he kicked my arm, boom, knots everywhere. He's just a powerhouse. And
wait, who hit harder, the late Rumble or the Beast?
I think because of the size of Derrick Lewis, like he was 260 when we fought. Rumble was what, 225? Yeah. He was faster. So he made his impact was quicker and it was felt sooner because he was so fast. But in terms of Derrick with that thudding, Derrick had that thing Hendo had. It was like that thudding power where they didn't even really need to punch through the glove. When they made contact with the glove, it was like boom, boom, and everything just kind of hurt getting hit by Derrick Lewis. But earlier he spoke about Derrick Lewis and he said he would like to fight Tom Aspinall. Yeah. He said that after he wins out this weekend, he would knock out the champ. He says that he has a better chance of knocking Aspinall out than he had when he fought me or Cyril Gane. I would imagine he talked about me because he knew I was going to just keep taking him down. And with Cyril Gane, Cyril moves so much, he probably figured he would have a tough time tracking him. He feels he has a better chance against Aspinall. What do you make of that, Chill?
Okay, so when I heard him say it made me think, look, there's something going on in the heavyweight division. When Tom came on here with you and I, he told us, I can't announce my own fights, which is a UFC policy that we know. Yep. He said, but I do have the fight. And he said, but I will leave you with something, it's not Jon Jones. And we just thought he was working. We thought he was having fun. ESPN invited him on. He didn't want to miss the opportunity. But then as a little time went on, it wasn't Jon Jones. Now, I personally do believe that Tom has been called and Tom has been told who it's going to be and where it's going to be. I believe that. However, there is some room to change your mind. There is some room. Like there's something going on at heavyweight. And whether there's room for Almeida, we've all thought it was going to be surreal, and we even asked Tom about it, and I thought he acted a little weird. But now you got Jon Jones back in the pool. Like, there is something going on at heavyweight, not to mention the rumor that I'm starting of Alex Pereira. Like something is going on. And when Derrick made the comment that I could be fighting Tom, and so many people perked up, it adds to my theory that perhaps the phone call that Tom got and the idea that once was is being relooked at. And there is room in life for what's known as a knee-jerk reaction. And if you were planning to announce Jon Jones versus Tom, just for example, and you were planning to announce Madison Square Garden in November, just for example, and you get a phone call that not only is Jon out, and you got this on the whiteboard in the war room, you find out that he's out of the pool, he's out of the sport, and he's given up his belt. That would be a time where you would hustle to fill that in and possibly have a knee-jerk reaction. I think the heavyweight division is being re-looked at for what possibly was true 2 weeks ago. That's a conspiracy, but I believe it.
I love your conspiracy, though, because they have happened to. Remember that one time you got one right and we actually celebrated you? We had a segment for you getting it right, man. That was just like, I love when you get it right. Derrick said that he would probably fight better against Tom. I don't know. You know, he's 40 now. Heavyweights can fight much longer than most can. He looked very lean today in the fighter meeting. He has a fight this weekend where in those instances, in those situations, he usually does very well against Teixeira. But Tom Aspinall seems to me like he is just going to be operating on a different level for a little bit. Cyril Gane would seem to have the type of style to challenge him because Cyril Gane moves a lot. He's very athletic. He's a tremendous striker. He does a lot of the same things as Tom, and he can move and match him with that movement. Would I like to see Derrick get another opportunity? Of course, because he's always fun. And the build to a Derrick Lewis fight is always as fun and off the rails as anything we experience in mixed martial arts. But he fights this weekend. In order to even have that as a thought, Chael, and to be involved in the stories of As the World Turns and Guiding Light and, Young and the Restless, you have to get a victory, and that starts on Saturday night as he takes on Teixeira. But, Joe, before we go.
And the Restless. Good call. Good call from earlier.
Genoa City. Genoa City was the place that these people lived, the Newman family. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. Watching. Do women still watch? Do they still watch morning those shows?
Not just women,
Air
by the way.
Said yes. Air just said yes. Air goes yes.
Are they still on? I don't know, but is Days of Our Lives, is that still on? That was network television.
Stephen A is on one. Stephen A is on one.
My father, to save $20 a month, convinced my sister and I that where we lived, we couldn't get cable. Like it wasn't a thing. So we only had channel 2, 6, 8, and then eventually Fox came along. And that was it. But I don't know if it's still on. I don't really watch that anymore. My channel's locked on ESPN.
Yeah, I guess it's still on. I'm going to have to turn my channel to CBS and see how old Victor Newman looks. Because the one thing about those sitcom actors, they do not retire. I mean,
that's Days of Our Lives. Victor Newman. Do you remember? No, Victor is from. Okay, do you remember Patch?
I think they did some cross shows a while back where it was Victor would go to Days of Our Lives. People would go to Young and the. It was crazy.
Victor was a bad guy.
He was a bad guy, man. He was a bad guy. And he married everybody in the city. He literally was married to everybody in the city at one point in his life. So not only was he a bad guy, he was a player.
He couldn't stop.
He couldn't stop. All right, Chael, before we go, 2 truths and a lie. You got one for me this week?
All right. Green means stop, red means go. That's 1. Daniel Cormier is the greatest light heavyweight of all time. That's 2. And number 3 is no animals were harmed in the making of LeBron James' new hairline. Do you want to predict which one is true?
No.
Hey, by the way, when they come in and they ask you for your text messages, is that like limited to, or can they just start scanning?
No,
through?
they're gonna get my conversation with Zach Candido, because they were like, "What did you do when you guys said?" "Oh, I called my boss. I texted my boss. They want to see me and Zach in our text conversation." So,
okay.
LeBron,
I mean, there's things in a text, in an open text message that may be private. I mean, that's a big ask of somebody.
That's a big ask. A big ask. Oh, and I pay the bill. I don't skip out on the bill, Chael. Pay it every month. Just insure my vehicle. LeBron James's hairline, no animals were harmed. I'm the greatest light heavyweight of all time. Absolutely, that's true.
Sure.
What was the third one? The third one was
green means stop, red means go.
Okay, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. Okay, LeBron.
We'll never know. I'll never tell. Yeah, I'm no snitch.
You'll never tell.
I won't give up my text messages. I'll eat the price of the car because I ain't no rat.
Because you're that rich is why. Hey, man, you can save a lot of money living in Oregon. Daryl told me. Daryl literally told me how much money you make, and I was astounded.
It's just an interesting thing, Daniel. If one of my cars was gone, I have wondered how long it would take me to notice.
Oh,
that's an interesting thing.
That's a
guy like yourself, he's got one vehicle, otherwise he's calling Uber, but it might take me a while.
Exactly. Guys, that's Chael Sonnen. I'm Daniel Cormier, and this is another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. Until next time, peace.